All aboard. New tracks. All aboard. Well, good evening. My name is Jim Keller. Welcome to New Tracks Meetup. This is where mentors help modelers build. Thanks so much for coming this evening. This has been it's kind of a weird evening so far. We first found out that our emails from our website did not go out as we anticipated they were going to, and we're not sure exactly why. But we've resent them, and we're trying to answer everybody's request for the login for Zoom as quickly as we possibly can. So bear with us, and I apologize. I have no idea what happened, but we'll try to make sure that it doesn't happen in the future. If you'll register at our website, newtracksmodeling.com, and confirm the email that you get, that it is your legitimate email address, then you will get, hopefully, the login information for Zoom in future emails. Again, I'm so sorry and apologize for whatever happened tonight. To make sure your friends can get the login information, feel free to share the information that you receive from the website with them. We're glad for you to be able to do that. We just hope that and ask you not to publish it publicly for security reasons. We have a new webmaster, Jamie Bothwell and Ken Nehemiah are both helping with the website. And I can't thank John Frankfurter enough for everything that he has done in the past to get the website to where it is today, and to make it as successful as a lot of you have said that you feel it is. So John, hate to see you leave, but we really appreciate all the hard work you put in to getting the website to where it is today. And also thank you so much, Jamie and Ken, for your volunteering to continue with our website so that we'll continue to improve it and make it even better. We need a lot of help for these programs, as we've said. So if you feel that you can provide a little bit of your time to help us produce them, we certainly would appreciate it. One of the things that we are looking for right now is help in our marketing area, particularly with the digital media. and getting the information on the various sites. So if you feel that you might be able to help us do that, please let me know. Also, I've had several people say we'd like for you to tell us what's on the agenda before the shows. And for your information, we've been doing that. It's posted on our website. And if you'll go to our website, you'll find the agenda for the show that's coming up, and you can look at it there. And we sent an email to everybody, I believe, that is on our subscription list for our website, telling them exactly where to go on the website so they can find our agendas. So I hope that'll be beneficial to everybody and enable you to figure out what's going to be on the upcoming shows. We have a My Bill this evening, but the next one is going to be July the 24th. And on that July 24th session, all of the people that have been building along with Rick and Maureen Hunter are going to have a special section for their being able to show the models that they have built. And the same for the people that have been following Bill Davis for the LaBelle build. They will also have a special segment on that show. The rest of the show, what we'd like to concentrate on are modelers that haven't done anything in the past, that haven't presented anything during a past My Bill. And we'd really like to encourage you to participate in that. This doesn't have to be a long participation. In fact, we'd prefer you to keep it reasonably short. So if somebody has a question, they can ask you the question, or they can send you a message in the chat or an email later. But we really hope that we can get the viewers involved in the My Bill section and new people that maybe haven't participated in the past. So it's going to be July 24th, and Jeremy Wyant is going to be the moderator of it because Chris is going to be out of town this summer. So with that said, I'd like to turn to Ted Becker for the quick tip of the evening. Ted, welcome.
Okay. You hearing me okay? Somebody wave to me.
Yep, you're good.
We hear
you. Share screen. There we go. I live in Granite Falls, and this weather, underground weather, is reporting it's 105 degrees. This is the Pacific Northwest. 80 is really hot. So if I happen to sort of melt away, that's why. Okay, on for the tip for tonight. I'm sure a lot of you have had to do this. Get out your pliers to get the lid off that darn jar of paint. And of course, you know that's dangerous because you could break the bottle and then it mungs up the lid so that it won't fit back on tight. But I found a solution. I found these at Harbor Freight Tools. Pretty expensive, like $1.97. These are like a latex coated. It's very rough texture. It's fairly thick, and they work great. Gives you really great gripping power. I have yet to find one of those older bottle of paints that I could not get open with these gloves. I've tried some other gloves that claim to be high gripping strength. They don't work as well as these. So if you get by Harbor Freight Tools, try out a pair. It's less than $2. And that's my tip for today.
That's a great one. I can't tell you how many times I've been frustrated with trying to open a bottle of paint that I haven't used for a while. Thanks so much, Ted. Well, the special segments we've got tonight, we've got 4 really nice ones. One I'd like to start with is the I've Got a Question. And I've had comments from, probably 6 different modelers that watched the show. All of them have been very favorable. And it seems like what they're really saying is they like what we're doing. They don't really have any suggestions to improve it. It's just that life has a lot of busy people in it. And they think that the reason that we're not attracting more people is that too many people are just too busy trying to get on with their lives. And therefore they're going to watch the YouTube video and as an alternative to being here live. So I can totally understand that. Frankly, that's why we do the videos in the first place, to try to accommodate everybody. But I do appreciate the modelers that did give us comments, and I do appreciate the kind words that you made. Now I'd like to turn to Rick and Maureen Hunter for their build along of their Hunterline King Truss Bridge. Rick, Maureen, welcome.
Hi.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to our last segment in this series. We're building our King Post Truss Bridge, and I guess everybody should be up to the same level that we are right now. Tonight, we want to put the large MBWs on and put the rods in. The rods are what makes it a truss. When the rod goes in and gets in real life and gets bolted down, that holds the whole structure together. I never wanted to get into tension and compression and all that stuff because that's way too complicated. So just trust us that this rod has to go in. Now, we use phosphorus bronze. In your kit, you should find a couple of rods in there, phosphorus bronze, and they are prototype size and so on. Why we use phosphorus bronze as opposed to piano wire or music wire? It's user friendly. Brass and music wire and all those rods like that, they're too rigid. They don't have any flexibility in. Phosphorus bronze, you just can bend it this way and snap it in, and it snaps right back to its original position. Now it will bend, but they're much more user friendly. So Maureen, what are you going to do?
Well, you have to switch over the screen.
Oh yeah, switch the screen. There we go.
There we go. Okay. All right. So everybody's bridge should be looking something like this. And last week we did that diagonal brace with that little complicated compound angle cut. And then I think you were supposed to put the NBWs in on that diagonal brace. So you've got one on each side, the bottom and the top. Okay. So what we're going to do now is put that rod, phosphorus bronze rod, through here. And I'm just going to show you how I do that. So if you take your rod and just hold it vertical up against your bridge, and you're going to cut it, get your wire cutters, and you want to cut it maybe just a 1/4 of an inch smaller. Don't use your drawing. Lay it up against your bridge. You can see where I'm doing that. Right from the bottom of the cord, right to the top. Okay, and cut it about 1/4 of an inch shorter.
Now, one of the thought processes that we have, even though this has only got one metal rod, did you see that go flying?
So yeah.
Oh wow! It's a metal, and metals expand and contract through the seasons. And if you took one of our big hows, like they have maybe 160 different rods in them, they will expand and contract through the seasons. And if they expand to the point where they disfigure the look of the bridge, and they can do that. So we always what we call float. So the rod actually floats inside. So the process that we're going to do is we're going to put one of the big MBWs that you have, the larger ones. They are actually a square nut on a square washer. They're pretty big for the scale, but they are to scale. So one of those goes underneath and one goes on top to hold the rod in place so it won't slip out.
before we do that, before we get
Yep.
to that point, I cut the other wire as well, and I'm just putting them on each side so I don't get them mixed up. So I know which side they go on. Okay, and I'm going to weather the rods now. I've got that micro engineering rail weathering solution. It's pretty well used. I've reused this hundreds of times probably, so it takes a little bit longer to etch it. Now, if you don't have a solution that you can etch it with, you can put the wires in and paint them afterwards. Use some acrylic paint to, make them rust or black or whatever color you want them. But I'm just gonna put a little bit in a container here. And I'm gonna put a rod on each side. So again, I don't get them mixed up.
So what that's going to do is it's going to etch it into a black.
Usually it doesn't take very long. You can put them in there and it could be done in like a minute. And then you have to quickly rinse it with water so it stops the reaction process.
And that's what's neat is it's just with water. You don't need any special cleaning of it.
You just kind of watch it and take it out when it's the color that you want. Mine's might take a little bit longer because it has been used so many times, but I don't know if you can see that it's starting to turn a little black.
Oh, look at all the floats in there.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. It's almost there. But anyway, while that's sitting there, I'm going to let it sit for a while. What you want to do is file flat the peak. Okay, where you've got your side bracing and the diagonal bracing. You've got a real point there. So what you want to do is file that flat.
You want to make the surface about the same square as what the MBW is. So if you look at it, and if it's 1/8 of an inch wide, then you should file it down to about 1/8 of an inch wide. And if you're doing the diagonal braces, but the other brace going the other direction, if you start to hit it, that's okay too.
And it is really good that this is, you've let the glue set up on this. It's just a much stronger joint, and so it's getting to the right. Yeah, that's good. That looks good. So then do the other one.
Now, if you remember, we drilled the cord, the bottom part, we drilled that before, because right now it'd be pretty hard to drill it.
That's pretty good too, I think. Yeah. So I think that's great.
So you can see that it's flat on top. If you look in the instructions, you'll see a close-up picture of the actual thing. I think the one in the instructions is actually a V instead of flat, but it's the same principle.
So I've taken the rods out there a nice black color. Okay, but I'm just going to go to the sink and just rinse them quickly. I've got one on the right side and one on the left.
It's only been the past couple of years that we use the etching process. Before that, we just put the rod in the way it is and then paint it. We used to use Floco Rail Brown.
Okay.
Did you file the edges?
No, not yet. I haven't done that.
Okay.
So on your little rods, you might find that there's a burr on the end. So you can take your file and just file that burr off. It'll just make it easier to get it through the hole.
Somebody asked us one time, does the etching decrease the size? Yeah, but it's so minimal that it doesn't really matter. Just makes it easier to fit in too.
Okay. All right. So we've got that. They're just sitting there drying a little bit. Now you need to drill that hole. So you've got your pin vise, and we did provide you with a drill bit in the kit. What size is that, Rick? Do you know?
Oh, every size is, every scale is a different
That's
size, yeah.
right, yeah, okay. You want to just make sure it's right, kind of hard to see there, right in the center.
And right over the crack between
Yeah.
each diagonal. That's your target.
I just want to get it right there. Okay, so you're nice and vertical there. And start drilling down.
Try and keep as vertical as you can. Now,
There it's
as
gone.
as it's passing through, it might hit part of the brace, the one that goes out from that. So it might hit part of that. That's okay.
So just make sure it's nice and clear. Okay, then you can take your rod and pass it through. Right down to the bottom hole that you previously drilled. There you go. And just feel the top and the bottom to make sure that it's not sticking out. And if it is, that's okay. Just pull it back up and nip a little bit more off. But you can see that's, can you see that? Yeah. There it is. Okay, so that's one. Now go to the other side and do the same thing. Find the center. And drill straight down.
So the rods are a scale size to prototype. I think it's a 1.25 inch rod.
Okay. That's good.
For the fellas doing end scale, this can get pretty small. Like the wire for it is I think it's 10 thousandths of an inch wire.
And get it in the bottom hole.
Now, is the drill bit the actual most expensive part of the kit?
You're probably right. Like we buy them in bulk, so you know.
There we go. So we've got them both in.
Geez, it's starting to look like a king post bridge.
Yeah. Okay. So now you want to put the larger NBWs.
You can see it's fitting tight enough that it'll stay there by itself.
Yeah.
But you want to just ensure it. So we're going to put the MBWs on the top and the bottom.
Now you can use your wood glue to put the MBW on the wood. But I like to use a CA glue for that, just because it's plastic to wood. It seems to hold a little better.
Now one of the issues here, if the rod is sticking up through the hole, you won't be able to put a tail on the MBW. So you can kind of have a look at it and say, okay, I'm going to have a little bit of a tail or no tail at all. If it's no tail at all, that's where you need the one of the CA glues to actually stick it on.
Mm-hmm. I prefer not to put a tail. I don't know, I don't know. I've tried putting the tail on and I don't seem to be able to get it in there very good. So I'll take my X-Acto knife and just, put it right up against, right where the tail starts at the bottom of the nut bolt washer casting, and just carefully cut it off.
This should be old hat to everybody. They're all experts at this.
So it's really flat. It's completely flat. If it's not, you can take your file and just file the little piece of the tail that might be left underneath that MBW. But I think I've got these. I can take my tweezer and just have a look, but they're sitting really flat. It's completely off. If you flip it over, you'll see that there's no tail there at all. So it's going to be easy to glue on. It's going to be nice and flat against that top of the meeting of the braces, all the braces. Okay, so I'm going to flip it over, flip the bridge over, and put a little dab of my CA glue on where the wire goes into that hole. Just put a little drop. This is coming out kind of fast on each side. And then take my tweezers and get the MBW right on top.
And try and place it so that it's square with the rest of the structure.
Yeah. Any excess glue, just take it off.
Watch it on your fingers.
Yeah. I'll be glued to the bridge. So there's one. And the other one. Here. Okay. So they're in place. I'm just going to let it dry for a couple seconds. You can see that.
Everybody thinks the rod is hard to put in. It's one of the easier parts to do.
Mm-hmm.
It was that brace last week that was the toughie.
Just try to get your excess glue off.
And remember not to glue yourself to with the CA glue.
Yeah.
Hey, a funny story about that. This goes back 15 years at a Canadian show. The guy was working away at it, and that was great. And then he went like this, and he thought, oh, wow, am I ever doing this? A great job on this. And then he thought, uh-oh. And his hand was stuck to his cheek. And they came across the PA and said, does anybody have the antidote? Well, good old me, I just happened to have the acetone with me. And it took us about 2 hours of spreading it on, peel it back, spreading it on, peel it back. We finally got it off, but a lesson learned.
So then you can flip over the bridge and put them on the other side.
Rick and Maureen, you know what I do with CA is I'll put a drop of CA on a piece of paper or something, and then some of your phosphor bronze wire, some of the fine wire in a pin vise, and you just move a little tiny bit of that glue over, and I find it's a lot more controllable than
That's a good
the tip.
idea. That's a great idea.
If you know some of the CA glues now, some of them have time limits to it. This one is, can I even see it somewhere? 10 to 20 seconds. So this is, you have 10 or 20 seconds of playtime on it.
Yep.
This one I don't have enough glue on there. I'm just gonna put another glue on. Oh, wrong one. Okay. There we go. Okay. I think that's it. They're on there. You can see them.
Okay, the construction end is finished. Now, part of last week, we were putting the highlight color on. So this is the darker color that you have. So we're going to do that again. And you can do that as many times as you want until you get the right color that you want. And most of you have got creosote black, which is that black, oily, grimy, crappy stuff. And just put it on to when you think it looks good.
Yeah. And you'll want to just wait for these large NBWs to really set up and dry before you would put a coat of the black on there. You just want it to be really set up before you start adding. So just dip your brush in the weathering mix, and of course start out light. I dry brush, so I put a little bit on the paper towel, and again I'm going to go down the ties and put some of that grime and greasy, oily looking stuff. I'm going to put actually 3 lines, 2 on the outer and then 1 down the center. If you can kind of
Yeah,
see
that looks
that.
good. Looks good.
Yeah, and then this would be the time too that you would paint your rods if you didn't have any blackened solution. So I think I want to put a little bit more here on the tip of these braces here, and I'm gonna, I think my little NBWs on the top are set pretty nicely. So I'm gonna put a nice big drop of the creosote black on there.
Now, what that just did was it did a ring around the square nut and
Yeah.
makes it so that you can actually see it. It gives it a 3rd dimension.
Yeah, looks pretty good. And then I'm going to kind of drizzle it down the side. From the inside too. I'm putting it a little bit darker in this area. I want to get all the sides here. You just add as much as you like.
Maureen,
So one of the things I want to,
Maureen, it looks like you're barely touching just parts of one of the pieces of wood.
Yeah.
Does the stain then just flow down the piece of wood?
Yeah,
Yep.
if you've taken most of it off, of course it won't do that. But if you left your brush a little bit wet, yeah, it'll start oozing just down wherever it wants to go and go into the crooks and crannies of that wood, which really adds a nice dimension to it. I'm going to go on this side and show you I'm a little bit wet, and I'm starting at the top. And you can, I don't know if you can see that, but it's kind of oozing down itself. It's just kind of,
it's called bleeding.
yeah.
So when you're doing this, Maureen, you really start at the very top part of anything that you're doing, right?
Yeah, yeah. And then, you can turn the bridge upside down too, and maybe start at the bottom and do the same sort of thing.
I see.
Yeah, I want to get in there a little bit, make it a little bit darker.
This is making the difference between a so-so bridge and a really good looking model. It doesn't take a lot.
Well, I think I might have missed this, but does the track go directly onto the ties or?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, no, what I've done in the past is, okay, the section where you're going to install the bridge, just break off if you're using prefab track, just break off all those ties and slide this up in. And you don't really need to glue the entire length of the track. So what I've done is just let the track float there. And if it becomes an issue of gauge, then just put a dab of glue either on the inside or the outside where you need the help, just to hold it on. So you got to remember that when you get to a bridge, the entire contour of ties changes. They're much closer together, and they're usually a little bit longer, and they're a different profile. Like your mainline ties are 7x9, while in this case we're doing 8x8. So it's not uncommon to have the tie structure completely change when it gets to the bridge.
So even if you have O scale, you don't need to spike any of the rail?
Well, you can. Like it depends on if you run some stuff over it and you find that it's wobbling a little bit, I would just spike it or use just a drop of glue. Spiking might look better, My experience with spiking is the first time I ever spiked anything was on a long bridge, a trestle, and I had really neat this all the way along, in and out of gauge all the way along. So what I've learned to do is I use a 5-minute epoxy, and I put the first rail on where it should go and let that dry. And then when I put the second rail on, put it where it should be going. And then what I use is a KD 3-point coupler gauge. And it has a single one and a double side. So the single one, put that on the rod, on the rail that's already down, and then just run your gauge up and down to gauge the other one. And then I let that dry for just a minute or two. And then I 6-wheel truck and go over it again, and then leave it for 24 hours. Then I'll go back and spike it after it's dry. Then your track is extremely straight, which is a little more pleasing than waving in and out.
So I
Probably
think I-
also a little bit more reliable.
Yeah, yeah.
I think I have on there what I want right now. You know that it's going to dry a little bit lighter, so you can always go back and add more again. You know? But I think for now I'm at a spot where I think it looks pretty good.
Good job, Maureen.
And it's done.
Good job. So next week, we're going to be on for about 15 minutes or so to answer any questions about Hunterline or weathering mix or anything that, or anything about the King Post Bridge or any of our other products. We would like you to take a picture of your finished product and send it directly to us. And then for the wrap up, we'll make sure we'll do a PowerPoint presentation of each person's creation and show it to everybody. And guys,
let me make a slight correction in that, Rick, because
Okay.
really on July the 24th is when we have the build along for all of the modelers that are building your bridge
Okay.
scheduled. So we really, at least that's what our plan was, to try to do it one time during one of the My Bill things, so that we can have everybody taken care of.
okay, that's good.
Okay. So if instead of sending them, you can send them, please send them to Rick and Maureen, but also send them to Jeremy Wyant, because Jeremy needs to make sure that he knows how many people are going to be there on the 24th of July and who wants to be involved, because Rick and Maureen have a great prize that they're going to award to one of the modelers who shows their bridge on July the 24th during the My Bill. And Rick, you might want to talk about that prize.
Okay, we never give away any of the products. If it's weathering mix, you're always going to get the color you don't want. If it's one of our kits, it's always the wrong scale. So what we do is we give a gift certificate. Okay, and in this case, it's going to be $50 gift certificate, which is for any of our products.
So that's to encourage all of you modelers that have been doing the build along with Rick and Maureen to come on July 24th and show the model that you built from this King Truss Bridge. And you'll be entered in the contest at that point. And it's really a drawing. So everybody that's there that shows their bridge, their name will be put in a hat. One person is drawn. That person gets a $50 coupon from Rick and Maureen for the next product they buy, whatever it is, from Hunterline. So Rick, I can't thank you and Maureen enough for what you've done and for the offer of the prize for the contest drawing. I think that was just so thoughtful of you to encourage people to come and to show their models. And I hope we get an awful lot of return from that.
Well, Jim, thank you
you.
very much for thinking about us and letting us participate in this. This has been a real slice, and it's really different to do it virtually than it is to do live.
It was fun.
Well, we
Thank
can't-
you.
Well, we can't thank you all enough for doing it. You've just been fantastic. And we also have to thank Al Hunter because he was involved too in yours, because he gave a 10% off to all of the people that built along with you for one of his machines.
That's Al
So-
Collins.
Alcohol.
Al Collins.
So thanks so much to you and Maureen, but also thanks to Al. That was so thoughtful of both of you, and we really do appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Jim. See you next week.
Yes, sir.
Good night, everybody.
So now I'd like to turn to Greg Cassidy so that he can tell us what the manufacturers have in store for us coming up. Greg, welcome.
Thank you, Jim. Let me get started here. I'd like to welcome everyone to What's New. Good evening, I'm Greg Cassidy. This is a monthly segment where manufacturers can spotlight their new products that are in development or being released. I'm always looking for new items, and suggestions are always welcome. First up tonight, we'll have a couple items from Best. Bollinger Edgerly scale trains. We're in it because we enjoy it, and we hope that you enjoy the kits as much as we do bringing them to you. Bollinger Edgerly Scale Trains has just released the Parker Hall office in HO scale. The Parker Hall Law Office is located in Sheffield, Massachusetts. This is kit number 2018. The kit dimensions are length 1 3/4 inches and width 2 3/4 inches. This kit features laser cut wood for easy assembly, mold injected windows and doors, generic step-by-step instructions, and is proudly made in the USA. The kit does not include shingles or casting, and the price is $19.95. And Best is also introducing 6 new colors to their Vetero Solutions line. The new colors Ivy Green, Black, Glacier Bay, Barn Red, Shadow Gray, and Oak are added to their line of solutions. At Bollinger Edgerly Scale Trains, it's not just a model, it's a piece of history. Visit Bollinger Edgerly Scale Trains at www.besttrains.com or email Brian at besttrains.com. Next, we have Dave's Decals. Dave's Decals has several new products in the works in various scales, and some are available in the store right now. First is some O Scale Vendo soda machines. These are O Scale Vendo 81. They come with a clear decal, and you paint it white and apply the decal. Instructions are included. These are new, updated, and tweaked decals in this set, and the set goes for $5.95. Next is an HO Scale Vendo soda machine. These HO Scale Vendo 81s come primed until I can get them made in white, with a clear decal that you apply. The picture shown is with an old style decal. There is a newer version with a few tweaks to the design. These go for $3. And coming soon, new HO Scale soda machines with lights. Some prototypes are going to be available in the next few days. Coke, soda, pop machines, depending on where you are from, that have lights will be available as a kit you build or as pre-built. The price on these is yet to be established, as the time it takes to build one plus materials is to be determined. Please note these are prototypes, and the decal set will have changed to a better fit. Currently, there are 10 designs, and there will be more as I get time to make them. I hope to have these available this month. Once done, the final design will be published. Also coming are dumpsters, building detail parts, more decals, and a host of other things as we try to offer more goods for your model building and diorama needs. Hopefully this line of offering will improve and expand. Visit Dave's Decals at www.davart.net or email them at decals@davart.net. Next is Bowser Manufacturing. Bowser has released photos of their samples of the latest RS3 releases. Bowser says, "We've just received the first pre-production paint and assembly samples. They look great. Please remember they are proofing samples and they may have minor issues that will be corrected or changed before final production." There's not much more info on these units yet, but they're highly anticipated among the modeling community. They are hoped for by August 2021. Follow these at bowsertrains.com or where they post their latest information at facebook.com/Bowser Manufacturing. Last, we have more items from Mini Prints. Mini Prints always has a wide selection of characters with new ones coming out every Friday. Here are some of the latest. First, we have lobster traps. And we have George the guitarist. Also a rail fan with his camera. And a set of liquor bottles. And the most recent release, 3 styles of weather vanes. Here's some close-ups of the weather vanes, Guitar George, the lobster traps, and the liquor bottles. All Mini Prints items are available in HO, S, and O scale, and a number of them are also in N scale. They also have a Mini Prints of the Month club that offers a variety of savings and extra. Contact Mini Prints at miniprints.ca or email them at bernard@miniprints.ca. That's what's new for this month. I'm always looking for new products to spotlight. If you or someone you know has a new release, contact me at gcassidy2@verizon.net. And thank you.
Well, Greg, thank you so very much. That was very interesting. Some nice
Yep.
products. Yeah.
Yeah, I actually got some of those little vending machines. They are so cute.
They really look like they're neat.
Thank you, Jim.
Well, next I'd like to turn to Fred Cosgrove, who's going to talk to us about trolley modeling. Fred, welcome.
Thank you, Jim. This is a little bit different than what I had planned on for tonight. I had a few issues with the computer and that, so I did something different because I was able to do it quicker. Something that you might even like. So I'll see if I can get it on here. Okay.
Fred, would you like to?
Yeah, I got it, I think now, Jim. Thank you.
Okay, okay.
I acquired a trolley layout from Warren Lewis, and it was quite an operation, moved from his house to my house. Warren was a traveling salesman, and I understand he was selling sand, and it's molding sand. So he made several trips out to Gary in that area. And he usually stayed in South Bend at the LaSalle Hotel. It just happened that the South Shore Railroad ran in front of the hotel. So he got a room that always overlooked the street so he could watch the cars come by. So unfortunately, he passed on, and I acquired the layout. And luckily, I had our trolley club president, Lou Hoy, and of course, Rich Humphrey to help take the thing apart so we could move it to my house. This is the way it was set up at Warren's house. Needless to say, this is disassembled, ready for shipment. These sections were not lightweight. So ended up having to get a trailer and having a couple of young fellas actually move them into the house for me. This is them set up in the basement at their new location. This is looking back on the layout. It's basically a U with one short leg. You can see the diagram over there on the panel of how it's laid out. We tried to get Warren to make a larger radius layout, but he was real picky about it. He said something about statistics says at his age, he was only going to live this long, and he didn't want his wife to have to get rid of it. Okay, so you can see some pretty sharp turns on it. This is basically, I assume, Michigan City with the yard here. The countryside. You can see there's a lot of various routes that could be taken. This is looking at Hudson Lake. At one time, this was a trestle that was filled in by the South Shore in later years. This is coming into South Bend. Lo and behold, around the corner, this big red building represents the LaSalle Hotel. Got a choice of two different lines you can come back on. Looking from the other side of the layout at Hudson Lake. Now this car in the foreground, I believe is an old Walters kit. Had the metal sides, cast ends, wood roof and that. And they were what they were called the stretch cars. Originally, South Shore had around 60-foot cars. One was 60 foot and the other one was like 61 foot, depending whether they came from Pullman or I forget the other manufacturer. But during the war, they needed more capacity and they had dining cars and parlor cars left over from the 20s that they had it used. So they ended up cutting out roughly 14 foot along the side of the cars and cutting the usable car to have that extension put in to make it a longer car so they could get more passengers on it. Later on, you can see this is, I believe, a stretch car here. This one back here, you can see the windows are different. Later on, they took and stood of individual windows, they paired them up and put in air conditioning and sealed the windows. And this is a good shot of a car that's been stretched with the sealed windows and air conditioning, along with this car. And the last car here is without the air conditioning. Virtually all of the motorized cars that were lengthened ended up having the air conditioning put in, except for one car. That was number 22, and it was highly recognizable because it had the picture window frame on it, but it had the paired windows still being used on it. So coming back to the car, Warren had built that car, and it was a long car, and he went to run it around the layout, and lo and behold, the car couldn't clear the poles. So Warren did the reverse on it. He cut the car in half, took out 14 feet, and made it a 60-foot car again. These are some shots that were used for convention. So that's it for now. Hope you enjoyed it.
Fred, thank you so very much for sharing that with us. That brings back so many memories for me, particularly because I've seen that layout many, many times and operated on that layout. And Warren was a tremendous modeler and tremendous model builder. Warren's layout was the only trolley layout that I've ever seen that was O scale, and the overhead was in scale rail. And he bent that in scale rail, nickel silver, I think it was, in scale rail, and he bent that to form his overhead with it, and it ran flawlessly. It was something to see, but it's the only one I've ever heard of or seen that's done that.
Yes, and the interesting thing is, not only did it handle the pantographs well, it handled the trolley pole cars as well.
Absolutely. In fact, I never saw a pole come off the overhead on his layout. So thanks so much.
It was fine.
Thanks so much for sharing that with us. And now I'd like to go to Dave Silvernail for some more rocks and weathering. Dave, welcome.
All right, let me get it queued up. All I can do is figure out where it's at. Okay, now what happened?
That's your Hotmail.
Yeah, that wasn't what I picked. That was interesting.
Yeah, I went to highlight.
Let me do this, Dave. Let me come back to you once you found what you want to do.
No, I got it.
All right.
There you go. We're not hearing the video.
Okay, so
You probably have to unshare and then reshare. And then when you reshare, you have the,
optimize for video, yeah.
and also share sound.
Those two pieces.
Okay, so I thought before I start spraying the models,
There
You
you
hear
go.
it now.
do with the airbrush.
Yes.
This is my main airbrush, the Badger. And first thing I do is take the needle out, wipe it. Then I have a product from Badger called Needle Juice. There's a clean one right there. And I dip the needle. Just kind of get most of it off. And I just kind of wipe it up and down the needle. Then I insert the needle back into the gun. At this point, I put the needle all the way till it stops. I store the needle back off so it doesn't protrude out there while being stored. This is the air adjustment. Take a little bit of the thinner. Put a couple drops down in the reservoir. I have a garbage can over here and I just spray it through until I see it coming. Now the airbrush is ready. Now for today I'm going to use the Titan Buff as the main thing to color up the black. And this is a little Tester's paint mixer. I just stick it down in there, turn it on, scrape the bottom, just bring it on up. And when we're done with that, I take it, put it down in the garbage can, turn it on. Gets all the excess off. Then I just leave it. Within 10-15 minutes, that's dry and will not contaminate anything else. Actually, for now, I'm going to actually pre-do all the other paints. So put a little thinner on here. Wipe that off. Thought we better show you what it looks like before I start in coloring up the rock as I do. Okay, I'm going to start with the Titan Buff. Like before, I'm fogging it in a slight ways away from the top down. All it is kind of give it a good base color. and always spraying down, never spraying up.
Dave, is the black, is that how it, is that the material, the basic material, or is that paint?
No, that's paint. Actually, it's an artist primer called gesso. I have found some black gesso, but it's not easy to find. So what I'm going to end up doing is next time I'll hit it with white gesso, but I will hit it with black paint before I start anything. The reason for putting the black on directly is that you already have your shadows already there. You don't have to try to.
Next color will be the raw sienna. And this will do quite a bit of coverage on it. This is really what I consider the base color. For this color, I want to get in a little closer than I did with the Titan Buff or the off-white color. Right this second, I'm cleaning the color out of the brush. Preparing for the next color. Now, there's really 4 colors of brown, although I only have 3 of them. So from the raw sienna, I go to the burnt sienna. It's a little more reddish. And that
I'm not trying to cover, I'm just trying to highlight. Again, washing the brush out for the next color. Next color I'm using is raw umber. The burnt umber is a little close to the burnt sienna. Raw umber is actually pretty dark brown. So you're not going to be using hardly any. The color I'm using is raw umber. The burnt umber is a little close more in the shadows. Yeah, raw umber is actually pretty dark brown. Just like that, we got about most of it. Here. There's always something more to do. There is another color to add, and it's a transparent red oxide. One of those colors used very sparingly. And we'll let those dry and see how they turn out. Okay, so I thought before I start spraying the models, I was okay, that's my Colorado scenery. The one thing that you have to make sure if you do something and you don't like it, don't be afraid to paint over it and do it again. I was at a friend's house where he's been a G scaler forever and he's converted to ON30. We got him there. We're teaching him how to do plaster rocks. We're, teaching him quite a bit of things. He's hand laying track, something he's never done. And we finally got to the point and told him, if you don't like something, don't be afraid to tear it out. All of a sudden he says, I don't like this across here. And I grabbed my favorite little oscillating tool and I went, tore it all out. And we're going to start all over on that little river walk in front of his one of his tracks. So if you do something that doesn't turn out right, you can either tear it completely out or you can just get some paint and paint over it and start again.
Of course, you've never had to do that, have you?
The scene you see behind me is about the third time before I finally decided I liked it. So yeah, it's been torn out and redone several times.
Well, you're quite an artist, Dave. Thanks so much for sharing with us how you do these things. I mean, it's just fantastic to watch you do them.
Okay.
So now I'd like to turn to Jeremy Wyant for the My Build for this evening. Jeremy, welcome.
Thanks, Jim. I'll share my screen. I'm assuming you can see that. I need to press share, so hold on a sec. So anyway, this is tonight's, this month's My Build. We've got 4 folks that are going to present some of the work that they're doing. And let's get started. And we're going to be right back to Jim here. So Jim, take it away.
Well, that's one of my models. This is a trolley that originated from Portugal. Mine's a 2-truck version of it because I didn't have a single truck, but this trolley originally was a single truck trolley. It's located right now at the Rock Hill Trolley Museum in Pennsylvania. And I found out about that from Martin Breckville, MMR, who shared that information and then gave me some links to the museum. The trolley is scratched out of brass. The trolley pole, the boxes, everything except the figures and the wire and the cloth and the flag and some other signs and so forth, the couplers, the trucks, everything else is scratched out of brass, except the sides. The sides are drop sides because the trolley originally used to haul coal in Portugal and fish from the port. So the sides dropped down, and that I think that gave me more trouble than anything else. Is trying to figure out how to build it where the sides would actually function. But it was a fun project, and I really enjoyed it.
Any questions for Jim on that build?
Well, I'm sort of kind of curious on how they carried the fish.
In the sides came up and they loaded it just like they would a gondola.
Okay, thanks, Jim. Next up, we've got Bob Farquhar. Bob, are you on?
Yes, sir. This is a HO scale kit by Monster Model Works. The 1964 on the top of the sign he had a limited edition of these things. You can put whatever year you want on there, or a name, whatever. And this named that for a buddy of mine. His name is Bill Kelly, and I called it Kelly's Haberdashery. The in the window there, the shirts and ties and suits and stuff like that, and that's all cut from a magazine article. So anyway, that's it.
To the instructor.
So Bob, how much of that kit is direct from the kit, and how much did you add to it?
The only thing I added was the interior. The rest of the kit is the complete the way it is. Yeah, it's all laser cut wood, actually. It's all
I'll say the
painted.
brickwork is laser cut.
Yeah, and they painted this with chalks as well.
How did you started by priming it and then doing
Oh, I put the chalks directly on. I actually started with a light gray chalk, light mortar, and put then on there heavy with a stiff brush. Then I did the reddish color, the iron oxide color over top of that. Yeah.
That's a great looking building. Like I said to you in email, I wish they had it in O scale.
Oh yeah, right on, right on. Yeah, he has nice kits. He has.
Yeah. Well, thanks for that, Bob. That's great.
Okay, and I tried
Next
to get
up-
that green color being a Kelly green because the same name of the store and the name of the store.
Yeah. That's great. Next up is Dan Cohen. Dan, I think you finally got on tonight, right?
I think I did. Can you hear me?
Yep.
All right. So this is my layout's an HO scale switching layout that I'm building, and the buildings I'm doing are kind of mock-ups. I didn't intend to finish them. So my brother tasked me with this. He created a Davies commercial printing for me, and so I did the design in PowerPoint. This is a prototype picture of the paper roll. So he also works for a printing company, and so they take these printer rolls off rail. They don't send anything out by rail. They don't send any finished product, but they take these off. So the thing that intrigued me is the claws that they use on these forklifts, and there's a whole bunch of different styles, but this is one of those styles. So of course I challenged myself with the impossible. So I started to do kind of a proof of concept. If we can go to the next slide. So in here, I thought I could work with some plastic and some of the styrene I had on hand. So I bought these little cable clamps that would fit essentially around the paper rolls. The paper rolls are going to be 1/2-inch styrene tube. So I cut them down, and I wanted to use some of the curvature on there to be part of the claws. And I'll put this out to the group because I have a question for you guys on this, but I'll come back to that. So I had some angle styrene that I tried to put on as kind of the clamps. Then I tried the just some strip styrene. And then I also did a little wood mock-up to see if that's something that would work. That's a lot easier to work with than the plastic. So what I had trouble with is finding a glue that would stick the styrene to this plastic. At the end, if anybody has any suggestions of what type of glue would bond these two, or if I'm just out of luck and I have to find something different, because I've just not had luck with that. Let's go to the next slide. So I use that tube, and there you see that's I think that's an 010 styrene sheet. It's really flexible, really easy to use. I didn't have anything really fine point except a pen, which made kind of a mess on styrene. And then I eventually went out and got a pencil with those thin lead points, so it works much better. But I'm just doing circles and circles and circles and cutting and cutting and cutting. I'm doing that while the show is going on too. The other thing I did was I created a little jig to mark off on the tube for cutting. So that was a little fun way to figure something out, and that worked pretty good. Then you see on the last picture, here I am gluing those all together. Okay, next slide. And so here's some of the build pieces here. So I just put a little bit of wood backing on the sign. I used foam core that I have and some scrap wood that I have to build the floor on the inside. Cut out one side where the forklift will go in and out, putting in the paper rolls. And then I have one final slide here. And so this is the first mock-up was, again, more scratch wood that I had. And there you can see me kind of fitting the paper rolls, seeing how they look. And that's just a boxcar I got at a local hobby shop pretty cheap. So, and I like it doesn't need to have that wide of a door frame, but that's helpful. What I intend to do with this to kind of super detail at some point is actually cut the roof off. And I want to put a full load or pieces of the load that I can take in and take out of the paper rolls. There's a document I'm using. It's like the AAR, and it has all of the stipulations on all the sizes of paper rolls, how you brace them inside, what materials to use. So this is a very long-term project. So I'm kind of just at the beginning here. And that's all I have for you. But really, if anybody can help me with what kind of glue would bond those two together, that would be helpful.
Yeah, Earl Hackett here. Hey, if that's an acetal, I'm not sure what the materials those clips are made from. If it's an acetal, it's a real problem. If it's
Okay.
if it's a polypropylene, you can flame polish it and glue it with just about anything.
Okay.
When I say flame polishing, you take a propane torch and you just waft it over the surface real quick. You're not trying to melt it or anything. You just want to oxidize the surface.
Gotcha.
And then you could, when I have a tough thing like that, I use this product called Welder. You can get, the only place I know to get it is on Amazon.
Okay.
And it sticks everything. It sticks like there's no tomorrow.
Okay.
If it doesn't work, I don't know what will.
Okay. Yeah. Again, it was a first try. If I can't get it to work, I'll move on to something else and see what we can do. But thank you for that.
And I suggest looking at some brass hose clamps instead of the nylon.
Okay.
The brass would be a lot easier to work with.
Exactly.
Okay. And where can I do? Is there any specific place I can find?
Most hardware stores or any place that handles scientific supplies should have it.
Thanks, Paul.
You're welcome.
That was great, Dan. Any other questions or feedback for Dan?
When I was driving truck, they used to use rubber mats underneath those rolls in the truck boxes, and the trailer. And I don't know if they use the same thing in rail or not, but they very seldom ever actually braced them inside. They just set them down on this rubber mat. Of course, I was hauling ones that were about 6 or 7 feet high. And they're pretty damn heavy. Most of them weighed anywhere from about 3,500 to 5,000 pounds per roll.
Yeah. So, so the thing they talk about in the document is making sure it arrives without any damage because the paper on the outside and all that. So with the minimum damage, and so that rubber probably kept them from moving. And if they're stuck in there in the truck, they don't have a lot to move. They're not going to get damaged a lot.
Another thing you have to really be careful of is water damage. Time I had a trailer that had damage up by the roof, and it actually had like a cut through the side, and the shipper refused to load it because he figured, you know, if I drove through a rainstorm, that water would come in and go down and ruin the paper, because there's an awful lot of, if it gets wet on the bottom or the top, you got to scrap that whole roll, and that's a heck of a lot of paper.
Yep, that's money. Yeah, agree. Thank you.
Okay, we're gonna switch now to Clark Kooning. And then we'll come back and I have one last slide on the next My Build. So Clark, are you want to share?
I will. Let me share screen if I can. Yeah. All right, everybody see this, I guess. This is a project that I started probably 20 years ago. I was building then HON3, and I found these cars by in an article, and I forget the article. I think it was in RMC at the time. And these are called Quincy and Torch Lake ore cars. And they just spoke to me, and I said, I got to build some of these. So I was working on my car certificate at the time. So I built a bunch of these. And one of the things I did, now this isn't quite the right fixture. I just realized that after I took the picture, but I built all the cars in a plastic or styrene jig so I could get them all the same, because I wanted to build several of them. And so that's just kind of the jig, not the specific one I use, but similar to it. And here's another one that I use for building HO3 stock cars, so I could get the angle of the braces and making sure everything is vertical. So if you're building a lot of cars and stuff, a fixture like this really works well. So this car is sort of the last one left. I even stained all the wood like 20 years ago, and that's sort of, I was working on this car a little bit this week because it's been such crappy weather. I haven't been out fishing. So here I am putting some more nut bolt washers in and stuff along the sides and filling in the sides. Now I didn't put the end post in because I had to put this metal strap in and put all the MBWs on. Now the MBWs, they're all made on my own casting, and I actually use hot glue in the casting, and then I pop them out and put them on. Here's the inside of that car. That's and there's a lot of angles to it, and so forth. And here's more the damn MBWs. Woohoo! This is one of the cars that I did complete, and this was entered in a couple of NMRA contests and so forth, and did very well. I think I got 121 points out of the 125 with them. The neat thing about all this is that it's got external brake gear. And all this brake gear was all cast and molded by myself. So the only thing that was really on this car were the trucks, which are exempt, some chains, and the couplers. Everything else was basically made in molds of. And this one's seen heavy service. It doesn't carry a lot. A lot of stuff falls out of it. And here's another one. This is sort of the second car in the set. This one was a little bit more useful to the railroad, that would actually carry some stuff. And but they're only small little cars. They're only about 3 inches in length. Actually a little shorter, 2 3/4 inches. And but they're neat little cars, and I really enjoyed building them. There's a bit of a crooked angle. That's better. I really enjoyed building them. This one I broke the coupler just as I was taking the picture, so I have to apologize for that. But they were neat little projects, and I've been sort of working on them over the last 20 years. But I have a set of 6 of these in total. That last one that you saw, that's you don't need to see that one. That's for another clinic that we'll be doing on plastics. But these cars are really neat, and if you're looking for something to challenge yourself, they're a lot of fun. So I've enjoyed building those.
That was great, Clark. Any questions for Clark?
Yeah, I got a question. We hear about those nut bolt washers all the time.
Yeah.
Those are period piece, right? I want to do modern. I don't have to worry about those, or are they on modern cars?
Well, they're mostly rivets on modern cars. Now there are nut bolt washings. That's where the hand grabs are mounted to the car.
Okay.
They usually put a big bolt in there, so you should if you really want to get technical, you have to put those in. Now, as I've said before, one of the things that you have to do if you're building a car or a structure for your AP points, you have to use a prototype that will score you the maximum amount of points. So if you use a basic car, you're only going to get basic points for it. So if you say, well, how come I didn't score 100 points? Well, in the matrix, it's a very simple car. And the maximum you're going to score, no matter how much you do to it, is going to be maybe 85 points. And you're going to be 2 points short.
All you got to think about is Olympic diving. Every time they tell you about how hard the dive is and the points you can get, the harder dive you do, the more points you can get. It's exactly the same.
Exactly. That's right.
The harder the attempt, the more points you can get when you get close to it. So that was a really important thing on one of the clinics we did out here on AP and how to score, is to understand that it's not just how well you model, it's what you've chosen to model.
Exactly. As I say, you gotta pick a prototype that's going to give you the maximum amount of points. And the diving is a good analogy. If you don't, if you pick a cannonball, you're going to get 2 points. And by the way, don't forget Montreal, hopefully the Stanley Cup winners in 2 weeks. That's it for me, unless there's any more questions.
Yeah, Clark, it looks like you had a lot of time on your hand to do molding. Was the fishing bad or what?
Yeah, well, believe it or not, I think I made half those molds like 20 years ago when I made the other cars.
That was before you started fishing or what?
Oh yeah, well, the weather, we've had rain here almost every single day. Today it's been just torrential and it's about 60 degrees. So I have not been out fishing. So, and it's supposed to rain until like Thursday.
Well, I would thought that
Fish like rain.
having it rain and all that, because fish are already wet, it wouldn't be bothering them.
Well, it wouldn't bother them, but it would tick me off.
Hey, so thanks very much, Clark, and everybody else that presented tonight, and thanks for the discussion too. I think that's a really important part of these My Builds. Jim already mentioned some of this, but the next My Build is scheduled for July 24th. If you have a project, whether it's completed or not, you'd like to show, send me the photos. I thought it was a great mix today of work in progress and work that's been completed and techniques and things like that. So that was great. And as Jim mentioned earlier, this next show is an opportunity for the folks that were involved in 2 build-alongs for the Hunterline King Post Truss Bridge and for the LaBelle kit. And as Rick said, there's a discount on the next purchase that'll be raffled off. And I understand there'll be a free kit from LaBelle for the winner of that raffle. So it looks like that should be a good show, and you've still got a month to keep to work through stuff. And Rick, I hope to be talking to you a little bit so we can kind of coordinate our end. I think it'd be, since you know all the folks that are working on the Hunterline kit, we can talk a little bit about that and try to get everybody to show what they're working on, even if they haven't had time to finish it. So my email's up there. And once again, thanks to Hunterline and LaBelle for these prizes and raffle prizes, and for all the work of the folks that have worked on these build-alongs as well. So that's it for my builds tonight.
Jeremy, thank you so much. You did a great job. I really do appreciate it. I would like to make one other comment. I really hope that we can get some people who have never done this before to talk about what you're building and show us a model. even if it's an old model that you've built. We really like to try to get people to share what they've built and share what they're working on, and not just me or Clark or Bob. I mean, you've seen us, you've seen our stuff, you pretty well know what we do. And we're glad to show it. I mean, the three of us, we got nothing to hide. We build what we build. We enjoy doing it, and at least we think we're pretty good at it. But we'd love to see what you're doing, and that's what this started out to be. This started out for the viewers to be able to show what they're working on and show their modeling. And if you want a longer period of time than a short period of time on this, then just let me know, because that is what the Watch Me Build is all about. That's why we created that special segment for people that have a whole series of photos that they'd like to share about how they actually went into great detail to build whatever the model is that they built. And that can be up to 15 minutes, or it can be up to an hour. It just has to be in 15-minute slices, and it'll take you 4 weeks to finish it. But there's any number of ways that we can accommodate your modeling and accommodate how you'd like to present it. The My Build is the easiest one. You can share a photo with Jeremy with some caption on it, so he knows what exactly is the photo that he's showing, and we can find out too. And then we have the basis for posting it on the website, so that everybody else can have a benefit of seeing it and hopefully learn from seeing some of the modeling that's being done. That's what this is all about. So I encourage you to participate. It doesn't have to be the greatest model in the world. Lord knows I've got some really bad models that I've built over my life. And people see them and we laugh together and go from there. So there's nothing that says you have to be the greatest model in the world to do this. We're just interested in what you're doing, how you're doing it, the issues that you're running into, and how you solve those issues. That's what modeling is all about. That's the thrill of modeling, in my opinion. So please share it with us. That's what the My Build is all about. And that's what Watch Me Build is all about, if they're longer segments. So Jeremy, thank you so much for tonight. Jeremy has got some great ideas that I think are going to improve the My Build program and help promote it even more than it has been in the past. And I look forward to getting those implemented. One of the things that we're going to be doing that Jeremy and I have talked about that was recommended by Modeling is we're going to publish a guide to really what we're looking for. The photo that we're looking for, the caption that we're looking for, and who built the model. All of the people on the show, you realize, what you show and who you are and how you're presented and what your captioning is. All of that is videoed and on YouTube for the world to see. Well, we'd also like to put it on our website. Why? Because we'd like to be able to promote the website and promote the My Build as we promote the various segments of the show. So if you have a problem with the world seeing it, then don't come and don't be on the show. If you don't mind the world seeing your models, then please come and show them, and we'd love to see them on the show. But realize that it'll also be on the video on YouTube for anybody, and also on our website. So, fair is fair, and that's, if you don't want that to happen, then I understand. Well, that's it for this evening. Next time, our featured modeler is Paul Woods. Paul takes 3D prints and turns them into castings. So we've had some sessions on making 3D prints, but Paul takes it a different way. Paul takes that 3D print that's been created and turns that into a casting. So I think that'll be interesting, and it'll be another step in the education, at least for me, about what happens and how we can produce some parts for our models. We'll also hear from Martin Breckville, MMR, about scratch building another car. Bill Davis is built along of his LaBelle kit. Jamie Bothwell on passenger car underbody detail, and some more I Have a Question. So I hope you'll go to our website and see what our plans are for the future and what other activities we've got planned for the future. I hope you'll consider giving a little bit of your time and helping us be able to produce the show and keep the website going as nicely as John has gotten it for us right now, and help us in other ways. We're bringing new people on. We're making mistakes every night. We're not professionals in this. We're hobbyists. We're trying to put on a show for you that hopefully helps you become a better modeler, and that's what our goal is. That's what we're all about. So thanks for everybody, and thanks for being here. I hope you learned something. I hope you enjoyed the show,